Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Tekken School series. Today we're going to talk about sidestepping, and this is like a big topic. I know this is one of the main reasons a lot of people are not even trying to get into Tekken. They're like, oh, I don't get it. It's like the third dimension where you like step forward, backwards. Like, I don't get all this. So today we're going to try and break it down. There is a lot to cover, so it may take a bit more time, but just try to stick with me. We're going to try and separate the issues so you can learn some basics, cover it. It's not going to be the most like advanced, you should step like here, there, and all that. I'm just going to cover the basic terms, things that you should know when you start stepping, and how to kind of like get better at using sidestepping in different situations. So firstly, let's separate the two. There is sidestepping, right? That is done by tapping up or down, right? Up will take you leftwards, and down will take you rightwards. That's where stepping right or stepping left goes. Depending on what side you're on, it will take you into the foreground or background. That doesn't matter. It just matters whether you're stepping left or you're stepping to the right. Okay, that's the only thing you should care about. Okay, and to side walk, you do a double tap and hold. Okay, so double tap and hold. And we got for down, double tap and hold. If you're just holding, you'll get a jump or a crouch. If you tap, you get a step. If you double tap, you get a side walk. Okay, so let's talk about different applications of sidestep and side block, sidestep and side walk. Generally speaking, we use sidestepping and side walking in order to avoid opponents' moves or to get out of their pressure, right? So we can use it to either escape the wall or to just escape like a bad situation. Or we're using it to avoid a specific move, either during a string or during like the opponent's pressure or approach. Okay, so these are the general uses for sidestepping and sidewalking. Of course, this will create whiff opportunities. Whiff means like the opponent will miss like place like a button, right? Let's say I think the first thing I have here is useful for that. So let's say opponent throws out this move. This move has like a lot of range. It is very punishable technically, right? But most characters can't really punish it here. Even Fang usually can't reach. It didn't say punish, I think. Yeah. So how do you deal with this kind of move, even though it's minus 13? Well, the answer is this move is very linear, and a lot of moves that have like a lot of range like this are often like very linear. A lot of running moves are very linear, and you can step them, right? And as you can see, whenever you step a move, the move whiffs completely, and then you can whiff punish them, right? Like this. See, it says punish. There's a lot of recovery there because they didn't hit you, you didn't block, so you can just punish them. So yeah, that's what you use sidestepping for generally. Now let's talk a bit about sidestepping and its properties. So when you step, you cannot block. Let me just kind of show how this looks like. So right, Brian will do like this situation, right one into a down forward one, very normal. Now technically this is steppable to the right, but to the left it has a bit of tracking, right? So like so, it hits me, right? Now the truth is I don't actually have to get a hit there. Side steps and sidewalks during that time you cannot block, but you can cancel it into a block. And how do you do that? You do that by tapping back. So now I'm going to do an up input into a back input, right? Like so. If you check my input history, you'll see that I have like up into back. So this is something you want to get into the habit of doing. You want to get like a sidestep and you want to block. There are situations when you want to sidestep and block low. That's also an option, right? It just kind of depends. So that's like a way to kind of like use movement in a very safe way. When you do this, it's more like defensive stepping, when you're just trying to like maybe get a better position, maybe you're trying to get out of the wall, right? Or you're just trying to like see what your opponent is doing. Maybe he will whiff a button if you do this, right? You don't know, right? So you're just testing them, right? Like so. So yeah, generally speaking, cannot block, but can cancel into block. Same is true to side walking. Side walking takes a bit longer to cancel. So let's say, wait, let's actually bring this one back. So let's say our opponent does this and we do the side walk, right? It takes a bit longer to cancel. So you may get hit more often. Here, I try to do it, but I guess I was a bit too late. Right? You see, I'm holding back, but it's still so it doesn't block as fast as just sidestepping. So this is like a difference you should know. Anyway, let's talk about the different applications of sidestepping in the different situations that you use it. So first of all, and this is maybe the most like easy to get used to form of sidestepping, this is just stepping in neutral, and you can do it as part of like your movement, your general movement. Now, generally speaking, if you step randomly, it doesn't have a lot of use, but sometimes you don't want to just backdash and give away space. Just moving around can sometimes bait out a reaction from your opponent, and if your opponent is using general like approach tool, so now the Brian will do like a 4-4-2 is like a advancing punch, right? And you just throwing out like a random like steps like in your in your general movement, right? Maybe you'll happen to step it. Okay, and make sure you cancel into block, right? And as you can see, the opponent can just randomly whiff a button. So that's like one simple use. I think this is the easiest use to get, like kind of put into your gameplay, because it doesn't require too much and it does get you used to pressing like up and down during your movement. So this is just like the general like sidestepping kind of idea. Other types of general sidestepping that you can use is like the one we showed earlier. We do the defensive stepping, where it's either your opponent pressure, maybe you're close to the wall, and you're just stepping and canceling into block, right? And you just do these things. You're not trying to hit anybody. If he does with a button, you react to it, you can take your turn. But if not, then you're just like trying to reposition yourself, and you're okay. The third kind of stepping, you do mostly around the +3 to -3 area. And what do I mean by that? Well, during your let's put them here and to block all, and then we'll do sidestep left. So generally speaking, right, whether you attacked or the opponent attacked, it doesn't matter. You can set yourself to be -3, or you can set yourself to be plus, right? During that area of frames, the situation is generally very neutral. There's a lot of RPS being used there, right? So like, let's say I'm +1, for example. I could jab again and I'll beat the opponent's jab, but the opponent can do a dick jab. I could do a down forward 1, right? Which is a bit slower if he respects me. You know, we'll beat like if he's doing like any high crushing low to beat like my jab, right? So there's a lot of like RPS being played. There could be mids, highs, fast lows, high crushing, and sidesteps are kind of a way to mitigate a lot of that. So now we'll do jab into down forward 1, or I'll do jab into, actually for Fang this would work, but jab into dick jab, right? Jab into a low, high crushing low, jab into another jab. As you can see, like stepping can beat a lot of options. So in this area of like +3 to -3, you can use stepping to kind of either aggressively or defensively to kind of create opportunities for yourself to take your turn in a more safe way, or even to create whiffs from the opponent and commit to a punish. So I'm gonna record our fellow Brian here. He's gonna do jab into dick jab, okay, for example. So let's make sure he's actually doing it. So he's gonna do this, right? If I try to jab, I get hit. If I try to down for 1, I get hit. If I try to do my fast mid, back 4, I get hit, right? So I can't challenge it. I could go for a hop kick here. That's a bit risky. I don't want to do that, right? If he jabs, does a fast mid, anything, I get hit. If he blocks it, I get punished. So instead, what I will do is, in this situation, I'll just step. And this is like a defensive step, right? So it's his jab, and on his jab, I'll step. Give me a moment, Tom. Okay, and we do just this, right? Now, when you do this kind of thing, you can either commit to a punish in advance, right? That's option number 1. You can just like commit to a punish and you go for it. If you do it fast, right, you can even launch these kind of moves, right? Like so, and you get a full combo and it's epic. And yeah, knowing your combos from step is important. Sometimes since you're off axis, as you can see, your combos might look a little different, or you might need to readjust yourself. But yeah. It's good to be aware. So this is option number 1, just like committing to like a launch, or maybe committing to like a big mid, right, immediately. You can do that with like safer options, like this, for example. It's still a punish, but it is safe on block, at the very least, in case you whiff. So there's all sorts of options like that. You can, of course, just like go sideways and just do something like this, right? yeah, sometimes the opponent is recovering in crouch, so you want to do something that is a mid. That's usually better, right? Like so. And it's like a fairly fast mid to use there. So you can use the defensive step like this with just like committing, but you can also just look at the situation, right? See the opponent whiff something, right? And then you do a move, but you're not trying to punish the opponent, you're just trying to take your turn, right? Like this move is like fairly plus on block, right? Or this move is like a launcher to see if your opponent blocks it or not. Oh, that actually launched him here. Yeah, because it's like 18 frames. Right, so you can do all sorts of things like that. It's up to you how you want to use your defensive steps. But that's one type of it. Another type of it would be if your opponent blocks a move that is only slightly minus, like what I said, the -3 area. And after block, we'll set him to punish. And he will try to punish with a jab string. Okay, so I believe Brian's jab is 2-4 or 2-3. 2-3 is his jab. Jab punish. So let's say your opponent is like a Brian, and maybe he tries to do this, right? On block. He's trying to take his turn, see if he gets like a counter hit. So I'm gonna do something that is -3, and let me just figure out what that would be. -3 move. Not this. Yeah, this. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. It's a -3 move, and after that, like obviously I can't do my down forward 1. I can do my jab. I can go for a dick jab, but that is like a bit risky. If he does a mid, like a down forward 1 there, I could get hit, right? So I don't want to take that risk, and therefore I go for a step. Okay, and as you can see, this is an aggressive step. Okay, this is what we do on our offense, right? I do it from my while standing 1 move. I set it up, and yeah, this string is giving us a bit of trouble, but yeah, if you know your options from sidestep, then obviously you can avoid his options and punish him. Now usually when you do these kind of steps, you will do it into a launcher. You can sidestep into a launcher immediately, or you can do like step into like a jab if you want something safer. Usually you wouldn't just block after this, even though you can block. There's nothing wrong with just blocking there. But it's basically like a way to set up like counter hits or launches from like your offense, right? Because technically on -3, it's like kind of your opponent's turn, but you're basically using the step setup, knowing that he might check you with jabs. And again, this is super effective on people who check with jabs or down forward 1s. That's kind of like the aggressive step. So we talked about aggressive steps, neutral steps, defensive steps, steps that are just to get you repositioned. These are all sorts of like steps that you can use. When do you use side walking? So side walking generally is either to beat specific moves and create whiffs, or in specific scenarios where your opponent is very likely to try and, you know, corner you somehow, right? You can use it if you're trying to like reposition yourself from the wall. So yeah, generally if you go in for a full walk, you have like some sort of read on like the opponent using a specific move that's maybe a bit slower and requires like a walk. So for example, Fang has this low. It's an amazing low, and yeah, Fangs love to use it. So let's say a lot of Fangs do this thing, right? This 1-2 into this down back 3. So now we'll set up our friend here to step to the left, right? And let's see what happens. Oh, he gets hit. Okay, he gets hit. You just tried a step, but it didn't work. What if he side walks down, right? And Brian doesn't have the best step, but yeah, even Brian can do this. So as you can see, side walking is basically a more effective way of evading sideways. Usually you will only do this if you have a read or a general idea of what the opponent wants to do. And this is where I kind of want to mention the idea of weak side and strong side. Generally speaking, weak side and strong side refers to where a character is more likely to track with their main pokes. So let's say I set the opponent to sidewalk right, and sidewalk right. You'll see this, for example, hits, but if they sidewalk to the left, right, this doesn't hit at all. I can show like I guess like let me from like stance, move. This does track here, and this is a homing move. But But yeah, like in a lot of situations, there are characters that can track. Oh, I guess like this stance tracks pretty well, so this doesn't matter. But like in a lot of situations, like one way will be just better to go to, and not like go to the other way. I wonder, yeah, this will track to the right. This homing, this tracks. This, okay, this also whiffs. Either way, like as you can see, going to the right against Fang is usually less successful. It doesn't mean he doesn't have moves that track well to the right. He does have them, he just has less of them, and moves that are, as you can see, like if this hits you when you go to the right but it doesn't when you go to the left, then going to the left is usually better because it's like a key poke for Fang, even though like Fang has like other moves that will hit to the right. So this is just a general thing about like weak side and strong side. The labbing and all that was already done on this, so you don't need to kind of like figure it out yourself. Generally, you can think of weak and strong sides as kind of like a guiding idea of where to check first when you're walking or when you're stepping a character. But remember, every character or almost every character should have like ways to track to both ways without like a homing move. And there are still homing moves, of course, that will hit you no matter where you go. So that brings us to the next like step of like the next step of how to use sidestepping, and that is to target specific moves. Okay, so general stepping is done with the idea that like my opponent likes to represent maybe more linear moves, or maybe he approaches with specific options, like maybe while running moves, right? Like right, like this. And when you stepping in higher level, usually you're not just doing that, like you're doing that naturally, of course, but you'll also target specific moves. So let's say my opponent, the Brian player, really likes using what does my Brian player like using? I'm trying to think what would be like a thing Brian player would really like to use. Yeah, maybe he likes to use this string. Okay, thinking of somebody specific right now. They know who they are. Okay, so let's say they're doing this specific string, right? So this string is minus 12, right? But it has a lot of pushback. Brian has a lot of things like that where like he has a lot of pushback, but he's technically punishable. And this is a mid, of course, okay? And you can, well, you can like interrupt it, right? Like this, as long as you have like the time to react. He does have an option to kind of hit you out of it, and some characters don't have the best interrupts at like 10 frames, because yeah, slower options are not the best against this, right? At 12 you already get hit. So what do we do, right? How do we deal with this? And this is where like stepping with like an intent to counter a specific move comes in, and here apparently you can just sidestep to the right. Now a lot of people are wondering like, how do you know these things? And the truth is Tekken has a lot of like lab work to do in terms of how you can counter stuff. The good thing is that people already did this work for you, so if you do look for guides, you can find them like online. They exist on where to step each character if you want to learn these things. And granted, it's not like super mandatory for you to know all these things to beat a character. If somebody's doing these things, it's always good to check during a match, like, can I step? Can I do something? Make sure to use like a block, like after that, of course, like cancel out the block so you don't get hit. But it's a good way to check, right? Like this, and then if you see the whiff, you can punish. As you can see, there's a lot of recovery and get a full combo, or you could go for like a small punish if you're still not sure whether you'll hit or not. But yeah, this is like an example. Another like really good example are like running moves. Running moves are like super common, and they will bring me pretty close to a different topic I kind of want to bring out. So it's a good example. So the Brian now has like the running move, right? Slash kicks are super common running moves. As you can see, I can step into either direction. Many running moves are like that. There are unique ones that are maybe a bit harder to step, and you can step them. You can also walk, right? As you can see, you'll end up in your opponent's back. right? And you can get like a full combo or a grab, whatever you're more comfortable with. And yeah, as you can see, I'm getting hit here, and that brings me to my next point. Why am I getting hit, right? I'm walking, I'm stepping, and what's happening? So the game in Tekken kind of had this thing where, like, if you walk before a move even start, it might just realign with you, especially moves that have this forward movement, right? So as you can see, like here I just stepped like way before, right? And I get hit. I'm just stepping and holding. I'm sorry, I'm just walking and holding, right? I'm getting hit, but if I do it at the end, right, I avoid. So this is something that's kind of important to remember. When you're stepping, you're not just trying to step. You're trying to understand the tempo or like rhythm of your opponent when he's trying to get in. And when you see the movement, only then you should start like going for the stepping, right? This is the best way to kind of separate like when you should or shouldn't step. You're not just trying to do it, you're trying to react to some sort of movement, and you're using this mostly to like make sure you're avoiding as many things as you can. And as long as you cancel into the block, right, you don't even get hit, right? And if you do get the punish, you get the punish. So yeah, overall, sidestepping is a fairly safe mechanic to use, and it is very rewarding, especially when you do it correctly, right? Because you can get these kind of like launches, or like, yeah, you definitely need to learn like the back turn combos and all that to get like actual value sometimes. But they exist. Like you can get a lot of stuff from back there, and some characters are a bit better than that at that than others. I need to show that I already know mine, so my credentials are not damaged, right? So yeah, you can definitely get like quite a bit from these kind of whiffs. It's just important that you learn how to do them. I'm gonna link a chart that shows like weak sides and strong sides of characters. Just remember, characters can still target you stepping to one side or another if they do know their options, and you can in turn, you know, respond appropriately. So with that said, this is a basic guide for stepping, how to use it in your gameplay. Remember, we're talking about steps in neutral, just to kind of create whiffs very elegantly, not very intentionally. We have aggressive steps, right, which happen over here, where you just step and you press a button, or you step right on your minus frames. We have defensive steps, which we use on our what's it called, on like our opponent's pressure, where we're just trying to either reposition or create a whiff. And we have steps on our plus frames as well, where we're just trying to hedge against a lot of our opponent's retaliation. And this is on our low plus frames, right? In the range between -3 to +3, stepping becomes really, really strong because it beats a lot of these strong, fast options like jabs, dick jabs, fast mids, dumb forward ones often, right? So just keep all these things in mind. And homework for today, okay? I want you to find one move that you have on block that is -3 on block, okay? So on a move that is -3, it could be like your dumb forward one. You should check dumb forward ones. Many of them are between -1 to -3. Could be a while rising move, right, like this. And I want you to use that move into a step, right, and see what happens. Like try to see how you can use these moves. Like a 1-2 string is often like used like that. I like to use this a lot, right? 1-2 and a step, and then like launch someone. So yeah, I want you to find one move that you have, one move or a string that is -3, and try to step after it. I want you to add side steps into your neutral just to kind of see whiffs kind of happen. And I want you to do a step block, right? Step block in games, especially if your back is against a wall. Let me just walk to the wall, it's easier. Right, so if you're in like positions like this, try to like step outside of the wall. As you can see, suddenly your opponent's at the wall, not you, or like to the other side, whatever is more comfortable for you. So these are the 3 things I kind of want you to start with. Remember, sidestepping can be like a very intimidating subject. It is like a very Tekken kind of thing. So take it easy learning it and incorporating it. Using it, even if you're not using it very correctly, will get you used to just putting it into your gameplay and seeing more situations where it's useful when you shouldn't use it as well. So don't be afraid to just try it. That said, We have now covered sidestepping. If you ever have any questions, you can always drop them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.